President-elect Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to the European Union: buy more American natural gas or face punishing tariffs. This aggressive stance threatens to reignite trade tensions between the two longtime allies. Trump's ultimatum highlights the increasingly complicated relationship between the US and the EU in a world reshaped by shifting geopolitical alliances and energy priorities. The EU, long reliant on Russian gas, is under pressure to diversify its energy sources. Trump's demand throws a wrench into this delicate balancing act. It also underscores the US's growing willingness to use its energy resources as a tool of economic and political leverage on the global stage. This new chapter in the transatlantic relationship has significant implications for both sides of the Atlantic, potentially impacting energy security, trade relations, and global efforts to combat climate change. The EU is now caught in a difficult position. On the one hand, it seeks to reduce its dependence on Russian energy, a move made more urgent by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. On the other hand, acceding to Trump's demands could undermine the EU's own climate goals and economic interests. The situation has exposed the complexities of global energy politics and raises crucial questions about the future of transatlantic relations. How the EU responds to this ultimatum will have far-reaching consequences for its energy security, its relationship with the US, and its commitment to a green transition. This is not the first time the Trump administration has brandished the threat of tariffs in its dealings with the EU. The former president engaged in a tit-for-tat trade war with the bloc, imposing levies on steel and aluminum imports from Europe. The EU retaliated with tariffs of its own on a range of American goods. These previous trade disputes strained transatlantic relations and created uncertainty in the global economy. The current standoff over natural gas imports threatens to revive those tensions and further complicate the relationship between the US and the EU. Trump views trade through a transactional lens, prioritizing American economic interests above all else. This approach has often put him at odds with traditional allies like the EU, who advocate for a more rules-based system of international trade. The EU has argued that Trump's tariffs are unjustified and harmful to both economies. Trump's ultimatum to the EU is also a clear manifestation of his America First energy policy. This policy aims to maximize American energy production and exports, even if it means disrupting global markets or undermining allies' interests. Trump sees American energy dominance as a key tool for advancing US interests abroad. The US has experienced a shale gas boom in recent years, becoming a major player in the global liquefied natural gas market. This newfound energy abundance has emboldened the Trump administration to pursue a more assertive foreign policy, using energy exports as leverage to achieve its geopolitical goals. In the case of Europe, the US sees an opportunity to displace Russian gas and gain a foothold in a lucrative market. By pushing the EU to buy more American LNG, Trump aims to weaken Russia's economic and political influence in Europe. This strategy aligns with the broader US goal of countering Russian assertiveness on the world stage. However, this approach carries risks. Pushing the EU too hard on energy could backfire, driving a wedge between the US and its European allies. It could also undermine the EU's efforts to diversify its energy sources and transition to cleaner alternatives. The EU is facing a complex energy dilemma. On the one hand, it is seeking to reduce its dependence on Russian gas, a strategic vulnerability exposed by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. On the other hand, the EU is committed to transitioning to a low-carbon economy which requires reducing its reliance on all fossil fuels, including natural gas. Trump's ultimatum puts the EU in a difficult position. Increasing imports of American LNG would help reduce its dependence on Russia, but would also increase its reliance on fossil fuels, undermining its climate goals. This situation highlights the difficult trade-offs involved in balancing energy security, economic competitiveness, and environmental sustainability. The EU has made significant strides in recent years in diversifying its energy sources and promoting renewable energy. It has invested heavily in wind, solar, and other clean energy technologies. However, the bloc still relies heavily on fossil fuels, particularly for electricity generation and industrial processes. The EU's energy transition is a long-term project that requires significant investments and policy changes. The current geopolitical tensions and the pressure from the US to buy more LNG could complicate this transition, forcing the EU to make difficult choices between its energy security, its climate goals, and its relationship with the US.